forklift, that's a PIT, okay? And when you hear that, that's personal transport, okay? Take care of movements as far as picking up, traveling. Have to use pre-check inspections, okay? The OSHA rule is 1910-128 to go along with this, if you really want to get into it. Main reason for forklift training is because of the number of accidents, most common accidents. We have 100 deaths, 38,000 injuries per year. Forklifts turn over 22% of the time, mostly because of bad loads, having them set improperly, okay? Workers struck, workers crushed, and fall from the forklifts themselves. You would love that, isn't it? Okay?
Not a man left.
So,
Workers'
this is
comp
part,
rate just went.
that's it. Okay, so here's what would normally happen. I'm going to go through this real quick. Now, normally what I would do is, and you can do it yourself, is set up in the warehouse and draw a section 10 foot long, 8 foot section, 8 foot apart, 10 foot long. And then draw a turn, come down 6 feet, and draw another 8 foot section. So you've got a Z. Okay, and you want to watch a person come through, okay, all the way through, and then back up all the way through, and then come to here and unload a package and back up to here. Okay, so you're coming in the Z this way, you're going back that Z, you're coming up to unload, and you're backing out this way. That's what you do for your hands-on test. Okay, so safe operation, you have to know what the OSHA standard is, so we just said the 1910, we'll let you know about it. Okay, nobody can be on a forklift unless they have certification for that forklift certification, which is, that's what this is going to be for here. Okay, you have to be under direct supervision, which we're going to say he's one day newer than you are, so that's your direct supervision. Okay, you have to have formal instruction, which is going to be either lecture, written material, okay, which is provided. Practical training, that's where you actually do the demonstration, and the evaluation, so the signature by the supervisor. Okay, be instructed by a person with knowledge and training and experience. You must have this, must be conducted after initial training, refresher training, and once every 3 years. Okay, and refresher training is any time that you actually change, not positions, but locations. If you have a warehouse site here and a warehouse site in another place, then you have to have training for that particular place also. Okay, training information, the certificate has to be just like you've seen on the testing that I've had previously. I've had your name, had your location, had the date, and then had all my information at the bottom. So I'll give you a form that you can use, and you'll be able to fill out data information and have everybody certified from there. Okay, refresher training, anytime that you have an accident, unsafe operation, any type of incident that's going to require evaluation, and again, remember I said incident until you figure out what's wrong with it, okay? If you put in a different type of forklift, if you got a Toshiba and you've got a Honda, then you've got to go through this again. So that's any time that you have a refresher training that needs to be done. Biggest difference is, okay, you're used to driving a car, okay, you turn with your front wheels. Back wheels in a forklift. The biggest difference is, what's the difference in weight? Could be 40,000 pounds to 6,000 pounds, or kilograms from there. Rear wheel, high center of gravity, low visibility, because you've got your points right in front of you, okay? And here's your turning radius. As you can see, a turning radius for a forklift is half to a third of what you're going to get from an automobile. You must have a capacity plate. That capacity plate must have the following information: model, maximum weight, maximum height. All that information has to be on there, just like a data plate on a tank, but it has to be on the forklift also. So be aware of what you can pick up, what you can carry, and the manufacturer's recommendations for specifications. All right, you need to inspect it before each use, particularly the wheels, okay? Now, you can have a couple of different types of wheels with this, wheels and tires. A lot of companies now, particularly if they use them a lot, they use solid surface tires. So what it is, it's filled up with foam, and that foam just actually turns to cement, and that's what you've got. But you still have the wears on the tires, okay? So your loss of rubber from there. These particular forklifts must be used on a concrete kind of situation. If you get off on gravel and everything else, you can guarantee you're going to replace the tires automatically. All right, so on your daily checklist, okay, your walk around checklist, it doesn't have to be written, but you're checking steering, brakes, carriage, hydraulic hoses, lift prongs and extensions, okay, fuel level, oil level, whatever it may be, if you're running gas, running electric, or running propane. Okay, you're going to check the cylinders there to make certain everything looking good. For us, for propane, we already know what we're checking for. Okay, so general practice. Hey, I got to keep it up, you know, when I'm doing this. All right, so no passengers allowed. Make certain that you're strapped in, all arms and legs within the cabin as while you're operating. Okay, and wear your seatbelt at all times. It is really important to wear your seatbelt. Okay, because if you're carrying a heavy load, or if you get that too high above the C and G, okay, which is the center of gravity, and the weight and stuff, there's a good chance that thing's going to go over with you. And you think, okay, I'm in a cage here and everything else, but guess what? That cage right there is 20,000 pounds that's going to hit you. It's not going to be like just a box rolling over it. You're not going to have an ankle, okay? They're going to amputate it. So be aware of that. All right, check and make certain that you have everything correct. If the load's not marked for the proper weight, or if you don't have a good indication of what the weight is and what you're carrying, you contact your supervisor. You want to check and make certain when you're getting ready to load the lift, you want to bring your forks up to 1 to 2 inches above the ground to make certain you can slide right up underneath it. Okay, strap all your pallet loads if you have to, accordingly. Okay, the main thing is this. There's a 24-inch from where the front wheels are at to the front of the forks to where you're sitting in the back. That 24 inches is the fulcrum for a forklift. That's where this weight is going to be at. So when you're picking up something, let's go ahead and skip to the things here. Okay, so here's your center of gravity, and here's the forks. Or from right there, you have 24 inches in the front, 24 inches in the back. That 90% of that weight is going to be balanced. Okay, if you get outside of that center of gravity, you're going to ask for issues and you're going to have problems. Okay, so taking corners too fast, being too heavy, the surface not being level, you want to be aware of that when you're carrying those loads. So when you're carrying it, you have, not only you have the center of gravity 24 inches to 24 inches here, you also have a triangle, delta triangle, from right there at the front point to the back wheels. Okay, so if your package is sitting here, there's a delta that tells you, okay, here's your outside wheels, your back wheels, and you have your load in the front. If your delta, if you have it too far out front and that delta comes out and it's outside those wheels, don't do it. You want to make certain that the container is somewhere within that delta from your back wheels here to your package here, and that delta's inside those back wheels. The other is the actual height from here. So as you can see, you don't want to have it out in the forks. You want to have it within this 24-inch section right there, right where you pick it up, so it's going to be balanced. Now here's where you have the forks. Okay, here you have your load, center of gravity on the system, and here's your back wheels. Okay, now if you've got that extended and the weight's on the front of your forks, what you've done is you've moved the center of gravity out and you're outside the wheels. So that means any additional move that you make in a forklift, which are real easy to be real quick with it. If you've got that too far extended, you've extended the center of gravity outside those wheels, you're going to go over. Okay? Be aware of that. While you wear your seatbelt, keep your hands and arms, legs inside. Okay? Make certain that you're always feet flat. Don't keep them outside. Again, you have this area here, it's 24 inches. This is exceeded 26. So outside here, this is the wrong way to stack these items. You want to stack the heaviest, and you want to keep the center of gravity back inside this 24-inch range right here. Okay? Also with this 24-inch here, one of the ways that you can do that is if you do have a very heavy object, then you can change the inclination of the forks to shift most of the weight back in where the center of gravity comes back inside that 24-inch mark. So if you have a real heavy object, raise the forks up, put that back against the forklift so you stay within that center of gravity, the 24 inches here and the 24 inches back to you from where you're sitting. Okay, when you're picking up, when you're approaching, keep your forks 1 to 2 inches off the ground so you can slide directly up underneath it. Make certain that they're level. All forklifts have the little level on the front so you can guarantee where your forks are at when you've got your inclination and declination. All right. When you're ready to make any type of backups, do you have that on yours?
I don't think so. I don't know if I've ever seen a level on a forklift before.
Okay. Quite a few of them do. Toshiba's and everything else. On the main pickup, okay, right to the chain, off. Normally on Toshiba's, they're on the left-hand side, and all they are is just a very, very little side glass.
But I
And
missed
so,
it.
so double check and see if you've got it on or not. Okay. Once you pick up the load, you come up underneath it, and that 1 or 2 inches, slowly raise it initially. Only raise it about 3 or 4 inches to make certain that you feel secure in carrying that product. Okay, that you've got it well balanced. Once you've got it well balanced and you're ready to back up, make certain that you signal. Make certain you beep so nobody's behind you or anything else. And you're aware that you're looking back behind. You just can't just back up without looking behind you. All right? Setting down the load, the main thing is drive up and be square. Never come in at an angle. That's the beauty of the forklift, because you can sit there and turn on a dime mostly. Okay, so make certain everything's square when you go in. Drive in, lower your forks, slightly tilt, let it go down, and then back it out from there. All right? Always look over your shoulder before backing up. Now, a rule of thumb is quite a few of them's got little horns on them, so anytime that you hit reverse on it, start hitting the horn. That way you alert everybody that's going around. Other forklifts, automatically, when you put it in reverse, already has the beeper. But always hit your horn anyway, just get in the habit of doing it. All right? Travel with the load when you're picking it up, tilt slightly backwards for stability. Okay? Travel with the fork tips 4 to 6 inches to the heel like that. So your inclination's not going to be a lot. It's not going to be jacked up like this. Okay? It's just going to be very, it's like the difference in air pressure in your front tires and your back tires. Not very much. Okay? Driving slow. Driving reverse if you can't see over the load. Okay? You have more control and your reactions are better if you're carrying a load and you're driving backwards, because then the actual turning of the wheels are more like you driving a car. Okay? You're used to that, and you're used to those kind of changes of perception. Okay? Driving in an incline. Okay? This is where you need to worry about the inclination and declination. Okay? When you're driving up and down a ramp, because again, you want to keep the center of gravity here. So as you're going up, it may be a situation where, number one, you increase the inclination of the forks themselves, or depending on what your slope is, your actual incline, you may decrease the fork's height, not the inclination, but the height, to keep the center of gravity down lower. So anytime that you're dealing with a sharp incline, and most forklift companies don't have that, but in case you do, be aware. Driving on the ramps going down, again, here's where you're going to have the forks themselves. On this particular one, you really can't see it that well, but you do want to incline the forks up, because what it does is shifts back to the carriage here, back, and it gives you more weight back towards the center of gravity. Driving on various surfaces, be aware of what you've got from there. All right, when parked, make certain the forks are flat on the ground. Don't ever leave them up. Right against the ground, turn off the engine, set the parking brakes, and don't block any emergency exits or anything else. Okay, pedestrians always have the right of way. Unless you have it sectioned off, you have a section that says, okay, signage at the top, forklift duty only, and it's sectioned off, and you have the black and yellow stripes on each side, and pedestrians have to walk on the side. Pedestrians always get first notice, okay? So it's your job to be aware of what's going on, okay? Propane, no smoking. We already know how to change out tanks. We already know what to do. The main thing there is if the pin's broken, make certain that you get the pin, because the pin guarantees that your relief valve is pointing up at a 45-degree angle and that it's applying liquid service to that propane. Okay, if you've got to turn kittywampus, you're still going to get liquid, but you're also going to affect the liquid for that relief valve. So, all right, summary, operations, what to look out for. Always wear your seatbelt. Remember, low and slow, drive only. Boom. How's that for forklift?